Welcome to Art Should Be Illegal, a podcast about art and what place it should hold in society, if any at all. My name is Liv, I'm back from my brief hiatus, and my pronouns are it and she.
My name's Elissa, and my pronouns are she and they. I'm so happy to have Liv back. It was not good when she was gone. We can never lose her again.
Yeah, my pronouns are she and her. My name is Annie. Reverse that order. And my pronouns are Annie, and my name is she and her. That's what I meant to say. Yeah, absolutely. And I am also very glad that Liv is back. And I was also worried that I would not be here today. I had a really sore throat yesterday. I was worried I was getting sick. But I started a new job a couple days ago. I think I just had like a overuse irritation of my vocal cords from talking so much.
Yeah. You sound great, though. And of course, today's issue and today's topic is something I have been looking forward to a great deal.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
We are going to be discussing the concept of clowns.
Oh,
and
God.
for this, dear Censor Elissa has been compiling a report that she will now present to us. And I'm...
Okay, I'm in a great mood this morning. I got a workout in. I've got my coffee here. I've been playing with my cat. And we're about to ruin that with clowns.
Yes.
It might not be ruined. Who's to say?
I fucking hate clowns.
We already know which way Annie is going to vote.
Oh, yeah. We don't need to do this episode. Clowns are illegal.
Wow, you're putting the board before the horse.
Yeah.
The black pen before the horse. Elissa, enlighten us on clowns. See if any can be converted. I'm still on the fence.
Okay.
And so keep it brief though, so I don't get too sore.
So here's the thing about clowns, like just going in. It's really hard to define what the fuck a clown is. Nobody knows what the fuck a clown is.
I know what a clown is. It's a member of Congress.
Yeah, I'm glad we're setting the bar for comedy high at the start of the clown episode.
I was gonna say it's like with women. Whatever gets me turned on is a woman, and whatever makes me giggle and go, "Oh no, am I in danger?" is a clown.
Yes.
Okay, so like Mads Mikkelsen is a clown.
Absolutely, he is.
Fair enough.
I think broadly, a clown can be defined as someone who pretends to be stupid to get a laugh. There you go.
I am comfortable
That
with
is
that
way
definition.
too broad.
That is probably the most historically accurate definition.
I am
It's the one
comfortable
we're
with
gonna
that
have to kind of
definition.
function with.
That's too many things, though.
Yes,
Like,
well,
if-
that's the problem you get researching clowns. It's okay. What is a clown?
Say more.
Tell us more. Inform us. Enlighten us.
So we're going to, I think, try to interrogate this issue of what a clown is, where we start defining things as clowns, and we're going to go through kind of the history and get an idea of if there is truly any art in this worth redeeming, and what parts should be kept or removed. Okay.
Yes.
Prepare yourselves, friends. Ready yourselves.
I'm prepared.
Because we're going all the way back for this, okay? To the very beginning. That's right, 12th century France.
Ooh, that's post-Charlemagne.
Yeah. Famously not a great place to be unless you like plague and shit crusades.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, the thing about clowns is that it's kind of hard to pin down when they first started because they've always kind of been around to some extent. A thing you see a lot among like polytheistic cultures is that they'll have some kind of like trickster god that just kind of hangs out and fucks with people all day. And that's basically what a clown is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not only that, but you'll get like tribal societies that'll have like people whose entire role, their career is just like when they have ceremonies, they'll just dick with people and like try to fuck up the ceremony and just be dumbasses to get a laugh.
Okay, so what you're
that's
saying,
amazing.
What you're saying is that jackass has always been a thing.
Yes.
We should get that back.
Jackass is a core human behavior.
Wait. Is jackass clowns?
Oh, wow. Okay. I think until we know what the definition of a clown is, we're going to have a very, very tricky time.
I'm going to say no because they
that.
actually are that dumb.
Right. Was it which one of them was in a terrible accident with his car and then, just fucked his shit up?
Oh, what was that guy's name?
I don't know any of their names. Are you kidding?
It was that one guy.
One of the skateboard guys?
Yeah, it was.
I don't know.
Tony Hawk?
No, he's cool and good, and also alive, I think.
Anyway, so the idea of like having a court fool has been documented going back to at least ancient Egypt. And there's this kind of consistent through line throughout history of things that would normally be strictly forbidden being acceptable when coming from a japester. As you get insane situations like Edward IV's jester borrowing a large sum of money from him, not paying it back, choosing death as his punishment for this, faking his own death, revealing that he was still alive at his own funeral after the king said that he would forgive his debt.
That's
amazing.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That owns so much.
Yeah,
what a legend.
So out of the gate, there are some redeeming features to some of these clowns.
Oh
there are some
that
incredible people that have pulled off some legendary fucking goofs. Faking your own death and stealing a bunch of money from someone as a prank.
Faking your own death is really cool, but like straying into heisting territory.
Yeah, stealing money
which I don't enjoy.
Stealing money from the king as a joke and then faking your death to get out of the debt is just mwah.
And not losing your job with the guy.
In fact, the king being
your
like,
life.
the king being like, that was a good one. That was great.
Yeah. It's insane.
You got me. You fucking got me.
Yeah.
Just imagining King going, "Hey, this guy.
I love this guy."
Yeah. So yeah,
Okay.
Like I said, there's this broad international sort of. Lots of societies have independently developed their own kind of clown things.
So what I'm hearing is that clowning is like an intrinsic aspect of humanity.
Yeah. Something like a quarter of all cultures have some sort of like fixed clown that just is around to be a buffoon and entertain
We
people.
do love a
and
clown.
It is like a cultural establishment.
Okay. I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yeah. But
I'm
we're not
considering
here for trickster gods and we're here for the more like contemporary sort of, or at least the roots of the contemporary.
We're here for white paint and balloon animals.
Yes, we're here for big old honkers and large, prosperous looking shoes.
Okay, can I talk a little bit about my history with clowns?
Okay.
Do you want to interject the history of clowns with your personal history of clowns? Please do. Let's hear it.
So the reason that I have such a negative reaction towards clowns is that when I was in college, I helped to organize a speaking event with several different speakers, and one of them was a man that was a professional clown, and was just talking about like accessibility and art therapy through clowning, which is, that's cool. I love art therapy and increased accessibility options.
Yep. So far, it sounds really cool and good.
But that guy was just a fucking dick.
Oh.
He was just such an asshole to all of the members of the staff. And I had to deal with him because I was like, I handled the quote unquote talent. The speakers.
Clown talent.
The speakers.
Yeah.
Well, there was one guy that was talking about soil, and he was amazing. I loved him.
Love
he was
a
from
good
the
soil.
local
We love a
university.
soil guy.
Yeah, he was the best. But the clown was just an asshole. He just didn't.
I have opinions about modern clowning that we'll get to at the end.
He was very like he talked about like the French school, and just like I just wanted him to leave and never come back.
Yeah. That's the point where you have to hitman people, and you take his fake gun that pops out a little sign that goes bang with a revolver that's just a normal gun. Just go like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my personal history with clowns.
Well,
Okay.
I suppose I should then go into my personal history with clowns, which is to say I haven't really sought them out, and they've never really come to me, except, of course, for like that societal clown that we see in every workplace. That is to say, that coworker you have who is impervious, who cannot be fired, and is just a buffoon.
Oh, that's me.
The one who regularly steals money from the company and always gets away with it.
Like misspells people's names, insults the CEO, and like they don't get fired. They just get like, oh right, oh that's just John. He's just joshing. It's fine.
Yeah, look at the size of his shoes.
I am constantly failing upwards.
Could you fire a person with those shoes are management material.
Oh my god. Oh, I guess also like I've been to a lot of Cirque du Soleil shows in my time, and there's always a clown or two at a Cirque du Soleil show.
Of course there is. It's French Canadian.
It's French shit.
Wait, or is it French?
Is
it like actual French?
There will be some discussion. I tried to keep the discussion of the French to the minimum in this. However, there's going to be a lot
Québécois.
of French.
Cirque du Soleil est Québécois.
And so that brings us back to 12th century France. And at this point in time, you have this New Year's tradition appear in a lot of cathedral chapters. They call it the Feast of Fools. It's an event that was at one point condemned in a letter by some upper clergy by saying that priests and clerks may be seen wearing masks and monstrous visages at the hours of office. They dance in the choirs dressed as women, panders, or minstrels. They sing wanton songs. They eat black puddings at the horn of the altar while the celebrant is saying mass. They play at dice there. They cense with stinking smoke from the soles of old shoes. They run and leap through the church without a blush at their own shame. Finally, they drive about the town and its theaters in shabby traps and carts and rouse the laughter of their fellows and the bystanders in infamous performances with indecent gestures and verses scurrilous and unchaste.
They're just having a good time.
They were just getting rowdy as fuck. Like they had one day off a year and they were gonna fucking party.
But also the Feast of Fools is in The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which I'm now realizing neither of you knows what I'm talking about because you don't know Disney shit.
Yeah,
I'm the only one here that had a normal childhood, I swear to fucking Christ.
That's probably true, yes. So yeah, dudes would dress up in fucking drag. Everyone put masks on. They'd elect a fake bishop and do a mock mass. It was like a whole thing.
That's amazing.
And, that's amazing.
Yeah, and there was one big wild raucous fucking party.
I love everything about this. It is pretty great to like to see the big institutions and just go like, what if we just threw eggs at it and see what happens?
Yeah.
Maybe it'll improve the institution.
And the most common thing people would put on was this peaked hood with donkey ears on it. And apparently this was a pretty common piece of garb in like weird European party events for a while, including the incredibly popular Feast of the Ass.
Is this where the dunce is this where the dunce cap comes from?
Very possibly.
Okay. Feast of the Ass, also known as my bedroom whenever I'm having a female caller.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Okay, so the Feast of the Ass was a French thing and featured a parody reenactment.
I would have thought it would be German.
It featured a parody reenactment of the flight into Egypt and a donkey leading a mock procession around town. And they'd all go to church and do a mass, but instead of the traditional Latin responses, the congregation would bray back at everything.
That's so good!
And they only had the most primitive forms of comedy in medieval Europe, but they were making the best of what they had.
Okay, but no. Like being like only a fucking donkey would do this is so good. Like you are mocking the Catholic Church to tears when you do that. It's so good.
This is peak comedy under what is essentially a theocratic form of governance.
Yeah.
We should do it more often. I think this is like the failure of really the Protestant church is that these people have forgotten how to have fun.
It's so
and I mean,
true.
that's of course also why in our fair republic, all religion is banned equally.
Yeah, it's like when you grow up Catholic,
Yeah.
like you follow
Could
the
you
tenets
imagine?
of the religion, but like you also take it all with a grain of salt. For some reason, Protestants are just like fucking true believers.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
weird.
wild.
It's so
And they don't
weird.
even, I mean, it's not like their Bible is the true word of God. It's not like the Quran.
Yeah. It's not like the Torah.
It's
Yeah,
not
it's
like
just-
a set of golden plates read out of a hat.
That's true. That's true.
Exactly.
Wait, which set of golden plates? The first one or the second one?
Yes.
Okay.
Whichever is more correct, I think.
I think they're equally correct.
So apparently, the Feast of the Ass was so popular that local governments would pass laws forcing the clergy to comply with the festivities.
I fucking love
Oh.
the Feast of the Ass.
Hell yes. Just
And-
a cop coming to knocking on the door of the church and going like, I'm sorry, where is your donkey cap?
Yes,
Piece of
exactly.
shit.
Well, apparently in
Fucking LGBT death squads out here.
Yeah.
Like, Father, you're gonna have to put up the rainbow flag. Levels done.
Yeah, or you're going to figure out why it's called Stone Wall.
the cops come to your house and tell you to start being more woke. It's perfect.
This is the future that the liberals want.
Yes. The fucking rainbow cops. If you're not ass feasting in here, you're going to jail.
Yeah, I know you're supposed to be chaste, but really you could just give it a nibble.
It's
Come
New
on.
Year's. It's New Year's. Come on.
I'm just imagining like fucking like Nazi propaganda that's like, you must feast ass.
Again, very German.
Yes.
All right, back on track, please.
Yes, apparently in Tournai, things got so out of hand that there was a royal decree to knock it the fuck off. And not only did they not stop, but a few years later, they kidnapped 8 clergymen and held them until one of them agreed to do the event. The church tried to get the local authorities to step in, but the mayor himself had led the raid.
Amazing. Again, no notes. Just this is the kind of festival I would dream of seeing.
Yes.
I don't think I'd give up Christmas for this, but like Easter?
Oh, Easter
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, just kidnap some priest. Like someone got resurrected. I don't give a shit. Put on the hat.
Well, this is supposed to be New Year's.
Oh, that's a great time for this.
Yeah.
That is a great time. Although I kind of like New Year's.
Actually, or is the
Although-
Feast of the Ass might be a different day. I didn't actually check that.
Ah.
I'm
I
sorry.
mean, otherwise we can just move New Year's to somewhere in January, like
January 14th is the Feast
okay.
of the Ass.
Oh, that's perfect.
It's
Sure. Yeah.
it's a great time for that.
Yeah. Like,
Nothing else happens on that day, right?
I don't think so. Well,
I
Feast of
mean,
the
I'm
Ass
sure some
happens
people
that
have
day.
birthdays.
No, wait. When's Valentine's Day?
In February.
Yeah.
But also
Oh, never
Valentine's
mind.
Day is also ass.
I mean, that is a different feast of the ass, but yes.
Fuck you.
So
I mean, yeah, I should fucking hope so on Valentine's Day.
God damn it.
damn it.
Back on track.
I'm so glad we got Liv back. So, the church eventually got so fed up with this bullshit that they kicked up like a protracted legal battle and eventually got these events banned, forcing people to come up with newer, more advanced forms of comedy. And in this case, that meant like professional guilds of dumbass japesters that would blare music and put on huge shows. So like they just made the problem much worse.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah,
Okay, they unionized.
yes, they essentially unionized.
It's like when people try to ban a book. It's like, yeah, no, we're just going to increase readership.
I fucking
you
love the
idiot.
Streisand effect.
Yeah. That's pretty much what this is. And they do these satirical shows called Saudis where they'd portray anyone in society as, you know, a fool. Kings, peasants, everybody's just kind of a dipshit. And they do a bunch
are
of
they wrong?
like right? And they do a bunch of physical comedy and like witty repartee delivered in rhymed couplets. And some of these performers, are kind of like the earliest form of clowns as we think of them. So they called these groups joyful societies, but it was in French, so it was incomprehensible.
Société joyeuse, probably.
Something to that effect. Don't ever speak French at me again.
Pourquoi pas non? Wait.
And
no,
some of
just
these
pourquoi
groups,
pas.
How?
Just pourquoi
Okay.
pas. My bad.
So like, how long before we get to like an actual clown? Because these are all just performers.
it's going to be a little bit till we get to whiteface.
Okay, that's what we're all waiting for.
Yeah, here's the thing. As we're going to learn, the clowns like we think of them are very new. Very
Okay.
new.
It's an invention of the modern age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a bit later.
Okay.
So some of these joyful societies were fucking huge. In Dijon, they I can't get a firm population for them in 1600, but they were somewhere in the ballpark of about 20,000 people. About 500 of them were active members of this group.
Oh, Jesus.
Holy moly, that's a lot of clown.
Yeah. That's a shitload of clowns.
Yeah, but here's the question. Would you join an organization called the Joyful Society?
Yes,
Yeah,
immediately.
Yeah, they're just a bunch of
I
partiers.
I would kind of hope that sounds like it would be like an Eyes Wide Shut kind of situation.
It kind of does.
Oh, God.
Their motto was the number of fools is infinite. And
Holy shit, that's so good.
yes.
That rules.
Yeah, and they consisted of people from all walks of life. Like it didn't matter what your social strata was. They pretty much just took in anybody who wanted to fuck around.
Full clown.
They're just here to
communism?
have fun.
Kind of. Yeah. And they were like a massive progressive force and would like viciously mock, rich misers, corrupt officials, and domestic abusers. And they wouldn't stop at just making fun of these people. In some cases, they would apprehend them and parade them around town so everybody knew what a piece of shit that guy was.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
that rules.
Yeah. And at their peak, they were creating japes of such power that they could throw society into fucking chaos when somebody did something that really sucked ass. So the government, of course, got together and banned them after they were burning the king in effigy for doing something they didn't like. I don't remember what it was.
The jape of power must be crushed.
Yes. So at this point in time, clowns are fucking cool as shit.
Yeah. I want comedy
this is
riots
the
back.
clowning that we want to. Yeah,
Yeah.
gotta have it back.
Yeah, and from that point on, like in France for like 300 years until like the late 1800s, clowns are heavily censored. They
banned
like
clowns?
yes, and we're gonna get
You got
more
your
about
wish.
this later, but like they limit like where they can perform, how they can perform, what things can be included in a performance. Any events at this point in time that they did were required to be in praise of the state and licensed by the municipal police, and
So what you're
thus
saying-
ended the reign of clowns.
So,
Wow,
so
heavy
modern,
clown censorship.
So modern clowns are like neutered.
Yes, the clowns we have today are not true clowns. There's an argument to be made here that the clowns that we know today are clowns born via censorship.
They're like pseudo clowns.
Yes.
You're giving me so much to think about.
Yes. So clowns are a complex issue, is what we're learning
Yeah.
here. Clowns
But
are
Elissa,
not
what
all
was-
bad.
What was going on in the rest of the world with clowns?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
Well,
So, as you know, the joyful societies were more or less banned. The goofing was moved to like carnivals. And they didn't have the satirical aspect that so threatened the massive pieces of shit that have been in charge of every country since the beginning of time. And that's when we start getting into our more contemporary ideas of clowns, although there's still some development that'll have to happen there. These early clowns are pretty different, as we'll see. And now, aside from this carnival nonsense, you might be thinking, this all sounds pretty wonderful. Perhaps we all should become clowns. But I'll have you know, it's not all ass feasts and unpaid debts. There's a darker, zanier side to clowning. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Very menacing. You see, making money doing comedy has always been impossible without like debasing yourself in shameful ways, which is,
Sure.
I mean, a little bit just what doing comedy is. But
Yeah, true today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're the exception. We've made $1 billion doing this podcast. We're so
Yes.
prosperous.
Yeah, but like we're state sponsored.
Yeah.
Well, let's not call it clowning. This is a very serious business.
But
Right, of
there is
course.
comedy to be had.
Certainly.
Yeah.
But so anyway, it should come as no surprise that inevitably the power of laughter that the noble clown so deftly wields would be purchased by nefarious commercial interests. And most of your minstrels, jugglers, conjurers, buffoons, troubadours, and yes, even mimes did not actually reside among the halls of power. They
Wow,
most of them
shocking.
were common street poors that had to impress random passerby to make a living.
Okay, ma'am, did you just say street poors?
Yes.
Okay, so they're buskers.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what most people were doing.
Okay.
And that's most of your clownish entertainer.
They must be
people-
eliminated for the greater good.
Yes. And it should be noted here that there were actually female clowns in the Middle Ages. And as you might imagine, men fucking despised them. And
Did they get their vages out?
they were generally regarded as some kind of particularly annoying variety of sex worker.
An annoying sex worker? No.
Yes. So,
But also,
so
men
really
cannot
nothing
handle
has-
a funny woman.
Yeah, nothing has
Yeah,
changed
no,
for
they
women in
truly
comedy
can't.
in like 500 years.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool
There
when you
is
think
n-
about it.
There is nothing new under the sun.
Right. Men just really hate women.
That's a very true statement.
Of course, drawing a crowd and making a living have always been two totally different things. And a lot of street performers could draw a crowd, but those people weren't necessarily going to pay them to do comedy. Again, not much has changed in the last 500 years. But there was one way a street performer could make some easy cash. And that's right. I'm talking about being the zany to a mountebank, as I'm all sure you were expecting.
What? What did you
what?
just say to me?
So
What did you just call me?
That's right.
Are we talking about Prince Philip?
No. What?
Isn't that his like dead name? No, not his dead name. His his like birth name. Like Mountbatten? Mountbatten.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say if it's mountebank, that's really funny. So mountebanks were basically unlicensed doctors that would sell all kinds of wacky made-up remedies in the middle of the street, and they would frequently kill people. They were called mountebanks because they would stand up on like a bench or bank or something on the side of the road and try to draw in a crowd to purchase their bullshit.
Okay.
And hiring
Snake
some
oil.
sort of yes, exactly. They were early snake oil salesmen, and hiring some kind of entertainment professional was an obvious way to draw in a crowd. So that's what they did.
Fascinating.
Yes, and I've got a bit more about this later. But as a side note, apparently a lot of these performers would use some kind of common clown equivalent term like Harlequin or whatever the fuck Mary Andrew is. But
Joker the Harlequin?
But apparently, it was extremely common for them to name themselves after whatever food was popular wherever they were. And some of the examples I saw were Jack pudding in England, pickle herring in Holland, Hanswurst in Germany. And based off of this, from what I can tell, the canonical American clown name would, in fact, be Neil Hamburger, which I think is kind of funny.
Boo! I hate that. That's stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dumb. Bring back the joyful society.
Yeah, and of course my clown name would be Live As.
I think my clown name would be like Annie Ice Cream. I do love ice cream.
You do. You're such a sweetie. You love your sweets.
I love my sweets.
Anyway, these mountebanks were fucking reviled by absolutely everyone for being dangerous charlatans who would basically skip town before they saw actual repercussions for, killing people. So naturally.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They.
Okay, so like modern doctors.
Exactly. Lives dying. So naturally, they could use whatever help they could get with whitewashing their act. And so that's where the clowns come in. So there's like a rich tradition of using comedy in advertising poison and killing people. Isn't that exciting?
Yes,
this medicine is to die for.
Yes.
You might die from laughter.
Yeah, the other side of the zany to a mountebank thing is the term zany itself is derived from an Italian stock character. This is part of that what do they call it? The commedia dell'arte. We're not going to talk about that very much, but it exists, and I'm acknowledging it.
Zany the clown with the knife.
Yeah, this was a early proto clown that they developed when they were trying to invent new forms of racism, and so don't look into zanies too much. It gets iffy. So yeah, if anyone ever calls you zany, in a way, they're kind of just calling you racist, and you should get really angry at them. And making a big scene would be totally justified. As we get into the 1700s, this feller Philip Astley pops up. And
okay, see, this is the guy that he's still naming himself after his favorite food.
Astley, not Astley.
Okay.
Yeah.
So was he rickrolling people then?
Ostensibly, yes. So this Philip Astley character pops up, and he is considered the father of the modern circus.
Okay.
He was a big time horse boy. His thing was equestrian expositions. And I didn't know this, but apparently there's a standard size for circuses, and this guy said it. So the standard size for a circus ring is 13 meters, 42.65 feet. That is how big a circus is.
When you say size, I thought you meant like number of people.
No. There's the standard size for the ring.
So like
Yes. So if someone ever asks you how big a circus is, it's 13 meters is the minimum size for a circus.
You said in the 1700s?
Yes.
But the meter wasn't standardized until Napoleonic France.
And yet it is 13 meters, 42.65 feet.
Huh? How does that work?
I don't know. Okay. I didn't look into it that much.
When was the meter invented?
But apparently after
1791. Yeah, the French National Assembly. Yeah.
So apparently after years of rigorous experimentation, he determined that size was the best possible compromise between the centrifugal and centripetal forces acting on the horse and rider as they go around in circles.
Okay. Yeah.
That is an amazing coincidence.
Allegedly, it's scientific.
Like my fucking circus spreadsheets. He's
consulting her circus docs.
Just getting into intensely autistic about the horse forces.
Yes.
Listen, I've done I've done some calculations on the physics of the horse and rider and come up with some numbers.
They may shock you.
It's a perfectly normal sentence that a clown would say in a circus.
It makes sense because, like, if the horse goes too long, it's going to build up too much speed and it's not going to be able to turn.
Yeah.
Alternatively, if the circle is too small, then the rider will just be flung into the rows, and then that's a whole situation. Then you suddenly have a dude with a knife in the stands. That's going to be tricky,
So his little operation was mostly just dudes showing off their horse skills. But over time, he increasingly added like acrobats, tightrope walkers, jugglers, and of course the noble clown to fill in the gaps between the acts. The new British riding school, or amphitheater riding ring, is what he called it. And it was a huge success for nearly a century. And the early stars quickly spread throughout Europe and the United States when that became a thing to start their own shows.
Okay.
Yes. And Astley himself traveled all over Europe opening amphitheaters, and after his death, his business continued into the 19th century. And within 25 years, the circus had become an established form of entertainment throughout the West. And so this is our main source of clowning that we see.
Okay, but then when do they put on the white makeup?
Very soon. That was something that's going to pop up, and I'll mention it when we get there. But that is also a thing that was imported from early Italian comedy shit.
Is it also racist?
So is it like...
Well, because they're doing a whiteface versus blackface thing. That is where, that's where a lot of the whiteface clown stuff comes from.
God damn it.
Yeah.
Of course it's racist.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Well, that's the problem with the earlier mentioned Italian racist clown thing. Like, he wears a black mask, and he's supposed to be like a dunce laborer type. Like, there are several problems.
I do hate that whenever I see a clown in whiteface, I have to imagine that the only reason that there isn't a dude in blackface is because that we as society have deemed it wrong. But if we hadn't, there would absolutely be one.
There's going to be some stuff on blackface later. And the reason it went away is not the reason you think. A full evening at one of Astley's shows could run 5 or 6 hours. Although the actual circus portion was under an hour.
What?
The events were completely dominated by equestrian antics. It was just dudes riding horses and jumping through hoops and shit. And the clowns in these things were less of the earlier like social executioner type and more of the buffooning tradition. And in 1802, the theatrical recorder described this type of clown as having a rustic appearance, vacant or gazing eyes, arms dangling, yet the shoulders raised, the toes turned inwards, a shambling gait with a heavy step, great slowness of conception, and apparent stupidity of mind and manner. And same.
I mean, yeah. I also.
Oh, wow. Okay. They're just like clowns are zombies.
Yes. It's kind of what it sounds like. The clowns were zombies. So one thing I noticed while I was researching this is that people fucking hated tailors. Apparently tailors were like the lowest occupation. I don't understand this. But for at least 100 years, they were stereotyped as complete morons that fucked everything up. And so clowns would frequently dress up as tailors all the time, so everyone knew how fucking dumb they were. And I think it's important you know this because it's baffling.
Yeah. I have no words. What?
I don't know why people hated tailors so much. I should have looked into it more.
I mean, I'm happy that we don't really have that sense of tradition anymore, because that would be really racist and weird.
It's so weird. I don't know. It's so exactly like the opposite of what people think of tailors today. Tailors are like fancy now.
I don't know. I think it would, if that was to be implemented today, they wouldn't go like a Western tailor. You'd go like, here are our 5 Malaysian children that we have bought, and they will now sew for our entertainment.
Yes. So, horses were such a big deal at these equestrian things that guys would dress up as tailors and show all the wrong ways to ride a horse, and the crowd would lose their fucking shit. They were
wow, look at this dipshit. He can't sew, he can't ride.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
Even
this guy
this?
can't do anything right. What an oaf. It got to the point apparently where most clowning was equestrian in nature, and they were all just doing stock horse bits, with the real innovators finding new and fucked up things they could do with horses in front of an audience.
So it is just Jackass.
It is just Jackass.
But with
it's
horses.
Literally Jackass. I guess some of the popular ones were having a horse run away from a guy or like fall over and pin him to the ground. This was a dark time for comedy.
Yeah, my name is Cindy Hamburger and I'm going to ride this horse.
Yes.
I'm shaking my head to show that I don't approve. It's too dumb.
It is. There was also some like verbal sketch comedy that went on these things and at these things in Britain in the late 1700s, but it was still
no, I don't like where this is going. You said the bad word.
We don't love that.
Britain.
Yeah. But it was still weirdly horse centric. They were like doing horse comedy. Apparently one British guy did manage to have some success in France with this by just going there and butchering the shit out of the language, which people thought was hysterical.
Yeah, look at this dipshit. He can't even speak right.
Yeah, but there was very little spoken stuff being done in France at all because of the insane censorship laws they had on public performances that regulated what kind of material they could do depending on the venue. They were legally prohibited from speaking.
What?
At most performances. Why? And that's kind of why pantomime pops up. That's right.
Why?
Okay. So, in the case of circuses, clown sketches had to be focused around the horse because they thought if someone spoke, it would compete with legitimate theater.
Oh, okay.
And
what? Just doing theater, great disservice there, going like, yeah, if this dipshit speaks, then you're out of a job.
Yeah. If this clown is allowed to speak, who would go see Shakespeare?
Who fucking cares? If it outcompetes quote unquote legitimate theater, then like get better theater.
Why are the French weird about language?
Or do they think that like these horse shows are just so fucking good that of course people will prefer them?
I think their thought is like,
yeah, it's like, why would anyone watch and no one would watch a debate about some weird shit.
I'd watch both. They're both good in different ways.
Well, and that's what these early shows are. And they continue that way for quite a while, where it's like guys are coming out like doing stand-up bits and stuff in between sets. Like, yeah.
All of the horses.
Let's see. So yeah, they were concerned that it was going to compete with legitimate theater. And yeah, as far as I can tell, I didn't go into it a whole lot, but as far as I can tell, this is basically where you start getting mimes. Because they weren't allowed to speak, so they had to fucking pantomime everything.
God
and thus,
damn it.
The earliest form, like the true pantomime.
Okay.
Actual mimes don't appear until the 1940s.
So what you're saying is that every
1920s.
tradition of clowning that's terrible comes around from government regulation of the true clowning of the joyous society.
Yes.
So if we had
that is the root
if we
of
had
all of
never
this.
censored clowns, they would have been based.
Yes, clowns kicked fucking ass and they were ruined by censorship.
Yeah, and now we have they have been censored, and
God.
it's just been now it's just
censorship and capitalism
ruined by society.
So censorship can't fix everything.
No. It seems sometimes the heavy hand of the state is to society's detriment.
Oh my God.
At least,
let's maybe not.
At least when it's being used.
You two are straying far outside of the purview of
Elissa, this is becoming seditious.
When it's being used to protect the monarchy, at least.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in this situation, the issue is that it's being used to protect the monarchy.
And the church.
Yeah, we can't have that.
Yeah, so the insane censorship in France led to guys like Astley coming up with ridiculous ways around the laws, and I love this shit. In one example from 1786, a rival theater got an injunction against them, forbidding them from doing any performance that wasn't on horseback.
What?
Naturally, he set up a platform on the backs of a dozen or so horses and had clowns do shit on there, which he then went ahead and marketed his performance on. Come see the fucking show that's on the backs of the horses, and got a bunch of publicity. And like, that's what they were doing in between their equestrian sets. They had them perform on horses.
Okay, but like, why would a court grant a private company an injunction saying like, you can't do something similar, other show? Like, that's so stupid.
I think that it was like a place that like just did equestrian or something, right? And they were like, "Oh, you can't be branching out and doing more things to appeal to people. That's cheating."
It's state-sponsored monopoly. That's so British, honestly.
It's so French. This is the French doing this.
Okay, well, fuck me.
Yes. So, early circuses in the United States didn't have it amazing either. They were met with fierce resistance from Puritans who saw any kind of entertainment as satanic and would use their influence over local governments to ban anything that wasn't religious or educational in nature.
God, the Puritans rocked.
Yes. Nonetheless, by 1800, circuses were well established in the United States and generally seen as like a higher class form of entertainment than the, standard practice of drinking heavily and working yourself to death.
No. You see, that's how God intended it, minus the drinking part.
Oh, but they love drinking. Are you kidding me? You know what the Whiskey
early
Rebellion,
American,
right?
I know about the Whiskey Rebellion. Alexander Hamilton really fucked the pooch on that one.
Yeah.
God,
I love their booze. People had nothing to do, no real entertainment.
Early American mountain men were fucking incredible.
Yes.
I mean, to be fair, the Whiskey Rebellion wasn't just about liking booze. It was also the fact that these farmers lived across the Appalachians, and bringing back that much crops to the more prosperous eastern seaboard was really expensive. So if you distilled your crops into liquor, it was much easier to transport and much more cost effective. So you were essentially taxing poverty, being rural at that point.
Yes.
Which that's another aspect to why people were so pissed off about it. But I digress.
Yes. So the performers themselves were largely Europeans, particularly they were French, because at this point in time, you had a whole fucking mess going on in France. Shit was wild in France.
1794? Yeah, that was pretty fucked up time to be French.
Yeah.
Yeah, some things might have been happening.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey,
so that Napoleon really settled things down.
Yes, he kind of did.
That Napoleon was great for France. I'm sorry. I'm receiving some updates. Oh no. I take it back. You do not have to hand it to him.
Turns out Napoleon may have been slightly problematic.
He did like standardize the metric system, so we'll give him that one.
He did not fix the clowning issue, though.
Okay, let's hear about it.
It's probably the worst of his crimes.
Did he bring back the Joyous Society?
No, those never came back.
Then get rid of him.
Hello, friends. I'm coming to you once again to implore you to thumb our pod. If you're not on the thumb site, you can always give us a bunch of stars or whatever, and that's fine too. Talking this much about clowns is a lot of work. And if you're going to do a lot of work, you're going to need a lot of thumbs. And we're doing a lot of work, so we need your thumbs for our pod. Give us your thumbs. We require ever-increasing numbers of thumbs to perform our work. You should give us your thumbs. You should give us the thumbs of your friends and family. We will put any thumbs we receive to good use. With the acquisition of enough thumbs, we will all prosper. Thank you. So in this era in the United States, clowns reigned fucking supreme. I am not joking. Audiences were less enthused, but still kind of pumped for some horses, but they were really here for some fucking clowning. Most of the circuses were these little one ring affairs, and they might only have one clown. So the success of the show largely depended on clown quality. Particularly good clowns made so much money that they just ended up buying their own circuses. This is also the era where whiteface clowns first appear, having been popularized in Europe by Joseph Grimaldi, who in turn took the idea from a French stock character that was derived from an Italian stock character. The thing I learned about, and we're not going to go into stock characters a lot, but all clowns are stock characters until like the last 50 years.
Oh.
And even then, most of them are stock characters.
That makes sense.
The clown that we know, like the party clown type of thing, is a specific clown archetype that's just more popular than the rest. It is a stock character that has existed for 200 years.
Oh.
It is the Auguste type clown.
Auguste?
Auguste.
Okay,
Auguste.
so we'll ban Auguste.
Yes.
Yeah, ban Auguste, bring back the joyful society.
Yes. So a clown in early 1800s America would wake up early in the day, travel into town ahead of the show, and do stunts in like the town square to draw people in. And
I was
Riders.
thinking that, like Knight Riders.
It's exactly like Knight Riders. And once a crowd had formed, they would lead people. They would pitch the show to the group, and sometimes even lead people to the circus. And once the show was going, they had to do a huge list of things. Like they were frantically working the entire day. They were doing acrobatics, pratfalls. They would hold the big hoop for the guy on the horse to jump through, set up props, any kind of performance apparatus that was needed for the show. And they would do bits with the ringmaster. They would tell jokes. They would ask the audience riddles. They would quote Shakespeare to the audience. They would sing, and they would do parodies of like political and religious speeches. They did fucking everything. Oh, wow. They were all purpose entertainers.
So it's
surely they could have.
So it's like now banned show SNL if it had ever been good.
We haven't banned SNL, but we could. We should.
I mean, it's not only on Saturday. It's now socialist nightlive.
No. I'm thinking.
Okay.
I would watch Socialist Night Live. Yeah, I would. But surely they could just hire a stagehand to do like the prop stuff.
That's what the clowns were. The idea was that you have a clown that does all this stuff, and that's your stagehand, and then they also do bits while they're out there and entertain people.
But they're also the guys that have to go out and like drum up business early in the day. Why are these people so overworked?
Because in America, we fucking hate workers. We despise people.
Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Yes. Puritans.
Okay.
Puritans is the issue. This was not just the era of whiteface, though. This was the era of blackface.
No. Are we going to get the fucking Star Trek guys? The one half black, one half white?
No.
Are we going to get minstrels?
We are... yes. In fact, blackface was all over the fucking place by the 1840s, and minstrel shows had become as popular as circuses, and circuses were really fucking popular.
God damn.
Yeah, they were. Circuses were everywhere. And there are very few redeeming qualities to minstrel shows. They were indefensibly shitty variety shows that even the incredibly racist viewers at the time could barely stand. I was reading some reviews from the time, and they were not. It was like, if not for the blackface, this would have been pretty bad.
Wait, what? So like
they enjoyed the blackface.
This is pretty shit, but at least, yeah, the dude is awful. His opinions are shit, but at least he's wearing blackface.
I find that really funny.
Yes,
what?
Like,
really?
That part was very entertaining. The rest of it,
I hated what he was saying, but I really liked the blackface he had on while he was saying it.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, even the viewers, even reviewers at the time that were writing about these things could barely stand these things. And the shows relied almost entirely on the racism of white audiences to make the show work. Fortunately for them, white audiences are and were super fucking racist. And
yeah, I was gonna say they must have made off like gangbusters.
Racist people just like seeing racism. They just really enjoy that. And they don't need things to be funny or interesting in any way. They just want to see racism because they're incapable of experiencing actual joy.
I hate this. So you look at it, you're in the antebellum South, and you think to yourself, I wish to be entertained. Do I want to see amazing horse stunts and clowns who quote Shakespeare, or racism and then choose racism?
Girl, I'm sure this was happening in New England and Detroit too.
Yeah.
You're so right.
There were some interesting aspects. There were actually, especially later on, there were actually black minstrel shows, which is interesting.
Were they funny?
Black performers. They were doing the exact same racist bits. And for some reason, they were quite popular with black people. I think they just like to see black performers, even if they were degrading themselves.
I mean, whomst among us? We also, I mean, I love to see trans art, even if it's really, really shit and quite awful. I still like to see it.
My question for you, though, is, are the people that were writing about these black minstrel shows white and contemporary? Because if so, they might have been doing bits and just not understood it.
That is the other thing, that like there was definitely some like in humor there. And there was also like they would do some like more traditional stuff. We'll talk about it a little bit more later.
Okay.
Aside from the racism, though, they were really surprisingly similar in terms of content to circus acts, albeit without the animals. These were like high energy affairs. They were doing slapstick comedy, acrobatics. There was a reliance on stock characters. As far as I can tell, this is where the "take my wife, please" jokes first appeared. Like that style of comedy comes out of minstrel shows.
Boomer shit.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't think that minstrel shows could get any worse, and then like here we are.
Oh, the old ball and chain that I married and ostensibly loved for the rest of my life. Take her away. Why'd you marry her?
I don't know.
You could have just not married her.
I freaking hate my wife.
You chose her. Nobody made you get married.
People are weird. I don't know.
What's wrong with straight people?
I think part of it is like there's a thing you learn about how society used to be prior to like the 50s, where people would meet and get married like a week later. And so they didn't really know each other. Oh,
it's like straight U-hauling.
That's fucking
And
sucks.
also you couldn't just get divorced. So
then why'd they get married? Surely they would have spent longer getting to get married if they couldn't get divorced. Like, it just makes no sense to me.
It makes no sense. It absolutely makes no fucking sense. Yeah, I think that the real lasting influence that minstrel shows had, aside from blackface, was like wordplay and like sheer nonsensical chaos that would inform a lot of comedy up until like World War II. Like elements of like vaudeville routines, come out of this.
I mean, they did also give Justin Trudeau his start, so that's nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
One clown of particular note was a man called Dan Rice. And while he's
good name.
Almost
once again, just like naming himself after his favorite food.
Yeah. He is almost entirely forgotten today, but he's probably the single most famous clown of all time.
Do you think that his daughter was Anne Rice?
No. And he was also one of the most successful entertainers in American history.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was born in 1823 in, of course, New York, the only city on Earth.
Sure.
He was the son of Daniel McLaren, a grocer, and also a close friend of former vice president and famed Alexander Hamilton slayer, Aaron Burr.
Fuck yeah. Aaron Burr, only good member of
wow.
the fucking founding fatherhood.
His mother was Elizabeth Crumb, the daughter of a
Once
Methodist
again,
minister.
Just naming yourself after your favorite food.
Yes.
That is so sad. What's your favorite food?
The Protestants.
Yeah, they're Methodists.
Have you ever had flavor? No. Once in my life, I had spices. I
ate once and I hated it.
His mother's father had her marriage annulled shortly after his birth and insisted that Dan use the surname Rice, which was a name on the maternal side of the family.
Sure.
A few years later, his mother married a dairy farmer who taught Dan to ride a horse when he was 5 years old. And tragedy struck in 1831 when Dan was 8, when his mother died. And he fled his stepfather for a job on the Union Racecourse near Brooklyn, where he had frequently visited with his stepfather.
Why couldn't he have just lived with his stepdad and worked there?
I'm not clear.
I'm running off to join the circus.
He ran off to join the
racetrack.
fucking racetrack. And over the next 8 years, he worked a variety of horse-related jobs before he bought a half interest in a learned pig named Lord Byron, whose talents included looking into the future and playing cards.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like
I'm
normal
picking up what
stuff.
you're putting down.
Yep.
Like those cards.
Rice's pig show was popular enough that it landed him a gig for P.T. Barnum as a blackface dancer.
Yo, blackface returns, and this time with the greatest guy ever made, P.T. Barnum.
Yes.
Yeah, fucking Hugh Jackman.
Yes.
What?
A terrible movie. There's a terrible movie where Hugh Jackman plays P.T. Barnum. It's bad.
Okay.
So he quickly stopped being a blackface dancer and switched to circus clowning, and quickly became known for his distinct clown costume, which featured red and white breeches with blue ruffles, a blue jockey blouse and matching cap, and full-length striped hose. This character, Yankee Dan, was the basis of Uncle Sam, and it was a colossal fucking hit. Uncle Sam, that character, is a clown.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh my god.
It's all coming together.
I told you, members of Congress are clowns.
Yes. This Yankee Dan was a colossal fucking hit, and during the 1840s, this guy got so big he performed for Queen Isabella of Spain, and they had a private dinner together.
Did he fuck her?
Hachi machi.
Oh shit.
Right? Yeah. Well,
Monsieur Dan, or no, Senor Dan, may I honk your horn?
I'm sorry.
While he was a gifted performer that excelled at virtually all aspects of circus clowning, he was an absolutely abysmal businessman. And he was a regular mark for more unscrupulous entrepreneurs.
And he worked for P.T. Barnum?
Yes.
Poor fucking asshole.
Yeah.
I mean, we see this again and again in history during this era in America, and of course, contemporary games companies.
yeah.
Yep. Capitalism, not great.
Let's all
so
go
at
work for
times-
Annapurna.
At times, he earned as much as $1,000 a week. That's about $2 million a year today. It's also about double what Abraham Lincoln was making at the time.
I'm sorry, can you please
as
repeat
president.
how much he was making?
$2 million a year.
That's more than I make.
Adjusted
That
for
is, yeah,
inflation.
that is adjusted for inflation.
That's more than
that
I make
is
by a lot.
Not adjusted for cost of living. Keep in mind that like everything was much cheaper, even adjusted for inflation back then.
Okay, so he was just like rolling in it, but also getting scammed constantly.
Yes. He was basically perpetually broke due to reckless financial transactions, wanton spending, and massive donations to charity.
Okay, well, that last one's really cool.
Oh, well, that's...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Like,
going to
wait,
say.
no, wait. What kinds of charities?
I didn't look into it that much.
Okay.
But given that he was an orphan, I believe he gave a lot of money to orphans.
Okay.
Oh, I was going to say, it could also have been awful, like, oh yeah, the Minstrel Preservation Society and the Society for the Expansion of
That's what I was
Blackface.
thinking about. Society for the Expansion of Blackface.
So, God.
Yeah, listener, you might not know them because, of course, in our republic, the Society for Blackface was banned very early on and all of their members shot for sedition. And that was the correct choice. If you see someone in blackface, please do report them.
Okay.
Governor Northam, get against the wall.
Yeah.
So, between the quality of his show and his philanthropy, he was enormously popular.
Sure.
He was also an outspoken proponent of the temperance movement, which at this point was kind of a progressive position for some reason. The abolition of slavery. He was in favor of civil liberties and freedom from dogmatic religious thinking.
Okay.
It's
Talking about the temperance movement,
like
honestly, in America, it fucking needed to happen. Before Prohibition, genuinely like 40% of Americans had like severe alcohol-related illnesses. Everybody was drunk all the time at work, at church, at home.
Entertainment. Real entertainment is the devil.
And then after Prohibition,
all they had were
after
minstrels.
Prohibition, that number dropped dramatically to closer to 10 to 15%. Like Prohibition worked.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Oh, that's actually really impressive. That's not usually the story that we're told about Prohibition.
It's not, but Prohibition worked. The temperance movement needed to happen. It was bad.
Hot fucking take.
That being said, I mean, if my choices of entertainment are between minstrel shows and alcoholism, I'm going for the bottle every time, or perhaps a gun.
That's fair. It's fair.
Wait. Yeah, how many times would you have to see a white dude in blackface dancing and saying just some awful racist shit before you stare longingly at that single bullet and the revolver?
I would not survive in this era.
Oh my God. Well, yeah, you're trans. Of course you wouldn't survive in that era.
Well, okay, yeah.
Wait, no, I'm sorry. I'm missing the obvious solution here. Of course, you just shoot the racists. What am I saying?
You know, like in BioShock Infinite.
Moving on. Okay. There has never been a better time to move on. He was close personal friends with Abraham Lincoln. He ran a liberal newspaper devoted to freedom of the press. He served as a Democrat in the Connecticut legislature and was nearly elected to Congress in 1866 without ever campaigning.
I'm sorry. Did you just say that he was a Democrat in the mid-19th century?
Yes.
And he wasn't racist, you say?
Yes. It's so weird. He was a Northern Democrat, but like, yeah.
I don't know shit about Northern Democrats in that era. Fair enough.
Here's the thing. In the 1800s, politics are completely alien. That's
true.
So weird.
I think the Whigs were still around.
Not at this point. I think
the Republicans
they went out of fashion like 15, 20 years earlier.
Okay, so the Republicans have kind of already destroyed them. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna start.
This is the era of Lincoln kind of betraying the Republicans and not doing as much for freed slaves as he could have.
Yeah, mid 19th century American history is not my era.
And also making the worst VP pick in the history of the United States, which is something.
Yeah, that was honestly, if not for Johnson, things could be like the fucking crushing of the crushing of the Progressive Fusion Party was so tragic.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah,
moving on.
The final
More
part of this
clowns,
section. In 1868, Dan Rice was the subject of a draft movement for the Democratic nomination for president.
How far did he get?
I don't know, but I mean, people were trying to force him to run for president.
Incredible.
I mean, it's one clown or the other.
Yeah,
exactly. that could be your fucking slogan.
At one point in 1850, one of his business partners foreclosed on him and stripped him of all but one horse. Most of his performers decided that it was that was it. So they immediately abandoned him. He was left with 3 musicians, a tattooed man, and an equestrian apprentice. At his first performance under this new arrangement, he came out and his rival made an announcement to the audience saying, "Ladies and gentlemen, introducing Dan Rice and his one-horse show." And Rice replied, "After all, Dr. Spaulding," which was the guy that had ripped him off, the taking of Troy was strictly a one-horse show. And everyone literally stood up and clapped. This is how the story
That's amazing.
goes. Yes.
Get fucked.
I love this guy.
And so from then on, he built his circus as Dan Rice and his one-horse show. And the term one horse became a nationwide phenomenon, with small business owners with no employees referring to themselves as like one-horse bakers and printers and so on.
God damn it.
Yes.
Oh, that's amazing. I love this.
That.
Yeah.
I can't hate this.
And one particular craftsman, billing himself as the one-horse harness maker, was Otto Rungling of McGregor, Iowa. Mr. Rungling took his 5 sons to see a Dan Rice show, and they were inspired to start their own circus. They stole jokes from Dan Rice's act at first, but over time, the performances grew into the Ringling Brothers Circus, a massive 3-ring spectacle that would eventually put one-horse shows out of business for good.
I've been to the Ringling Brothers Circus.
Well, then you contributed to the destruction of the one-horse show.
This was in the fucking 2000s.
You'd reward them for that, huh? Makes you think.
Well, my parents would. I wasn't making decisions when I was that young.
These shows were so much grander in scale that the importance of the clown was massively diminished. And by the time Rice died penniless and forgotten in 1903, the idea of a circus clown having the fame and stature that he had enjoyed half a century earlier was like an absurd and distant memory. You find people in 1903 to 1905 writing about how can you believe that this guy was that famous? Nobody even remembers who he is anymore. Anyway, he died. He created Uncle Sam. He was making $2 million a year as a clown.
History just marches on, doesn't it?
It really does.
Just makes you sit back and think about the transience of life.
We really are all just dust in the wind, you know?
So what's next for clowns?
With these huge 3-ring circuses, they had bands blaring music and huge crowds and a million acts all going at once. And there was no way to hear a clown doing a sketch or singing or reciting Shakespeare. So you kind of have the age of the Clown Kings ending, and
The Clown Kings.
yes,
The fucking buggy.
Close to the turn of the 20th century here, you find a lot of like old clowns complaining that there aren't any real clowns around anymore.
Fuck yeah,
And, like,
boomer clowns.
Yeah. Like their idea
yeah.
of real clowning was when you had dudes out there telling the same jokes for 20 plus years and mostly coasting by on their ability to recite Shakespeare or fall off of a horse without dying.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. And so circus clowns became like purely slapstick performers.
Good.
Animal wranglers, acrobats, that kind of thing. And that's just kind of where they stayed.
Okay, so they became rodeo clowns.
What about rodeo clowns? Are they a type of clown?
They are. In fact,
Was
I
that-
think. What?
Was that a call-in? Was that a caller?
I don't know. We don't have a phone.
We don't have a phone. So yeah, rodeo clowns, I mean, they're kind of the purest form of clown, right? There are two types of rodeo clowns. They've got like the barrel clowns that like pop out and entertain people. And they've got the like safety clowns that are like keeping the bull from murdering the fucking rider after the rider gets thrown off.
Safety clown.
Yes. They have a term for it. I don't fucking remember what it is. I don't give a shit.
I
But,
haven't been to rodeo since I went to the Calgary Stampede in like 2006.
In a sense, rodeo clowns are the truest clowns to the original circus clown archetype.
Okay.
Ooh.
Because they I mean, obviously they aren't going out there and reciting Shakespeare, right? But
No, they're not that cool.
yeah, they're out there doing stunts and shit and like taking legitimate shots.
Okay.
And yeah.
I submit that if you had a rodeo clown that went out there and was reciting Shakespeare, that would go hard. Like, I think people would be really into that.
That's how it was.
Yeah, and then call the president a fool. Like, point out, like, do some joyful society shit.
Basically, that bit from the segment of Buster Scruggs, you know, with the traveling show and the guy, like reciting the Gettysburg Address and shit. It's basically what circuses were. It's what clowns were doing in circuses.
Okay, I found that bit so depressing.
Yeah, that short was very depressing. It was good though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and clowns just kind of end up staying in this like a purely slapstick animal wrangler acrobatic role. They never regain that, like, you know, going out there and doing all these crazy bits kind of thing that they had.
Okay.
So after
That is too bad.
yes. So after the Civil War, minstrel shows dramatically dropped off in popularity.
Makes sense.
Yep. It's honestly not for the reason you would expect. It's kind of weird.
I would imagine that it's because they were associated with the South.
Yeah, I think that is much of it. It is not.
It's not that people were less racist. It's just that like it was associated with Southern culture, and Southern culture was gauche.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, being a traitor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have it in here in my notes, but blackface stuck around and was popular until like
Now,
it's still kind of but until like the 1940s. Minstrel shows don't disappear until the 40s, and it's not for the reason you'd think. So like, I'll get to that in just a second here, but yeah, by the 1870s, a few troops were actually cutting blackface out altogether and switching, and essentially they were still calling themselves minstrel shows, but they were switching to more, you know, tasteful forms of theater.
okay.
Most of them just ended up dying out. The largest ones kept going, billing themselves as fun without vulgarity, as a way of distinguishing themselves from the increasingly popular girly show, which grew out of the minstrel show. Thing.
Ooh, yeah, this could go in so many
like,
directions.
is this like burlesque?
Yes, yeah. That's
Okay.
These girly shows
Oh.
are the earliest forms of burlesque, and burlesque gets really big, and it's kind of like burlesque and like vaudeville that end up killing minstrel shows. And minstrel shows were hugely expensive to put on. And so what kills the minstrel show eventually, the reason it's just the biggest ones that keep going, because the smallest ones couldn't afford the expenses to keep going.
What are the expenses?
It wasn't because the audiences stopped showing up. It was that it was apparently very expensive to do these. I'm not totally sure why.
Okay,
but I mean, black paint budget. It's gonna get up there.
You can only buy so much shoe polish.
Yes.
exactly.
Exactly. It's probably, honestly, the makeup costs were probably part of it.
Okay.
And so they finally die out in like the 1940s, and the people at the time were saying like, it's not because it's not popular. People still loved going to minstrel shows in the 40s.
God damn it.
The reason they died out was that it was just untenable. There was no way to make the money work.
Okay.
They weren't bringing in enough money to cover their massive expenses when compared to like other forms of theater.
Like burlesque or vaudeville.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, let's be fair, burlesque and vaudeville are both, they can be fun, even today.
Yes. I agree. I mean, like, we'll look at the Marx Brothers, right?
Yeah.
And an interesting thing about that, which we're getting into right here, is so I do think that there are like different approaches to clowning that appear over the years. At this point in time that we're talking about, you start to see things branch out a bit.
Things have already branched out quite a bit since the Joyous Society.
Yeah. And over the years, like I'm oversimplifying a lot of this because we're doing a podcast and I'm not doing 7 hours on this.
Fucking Dan Carlin, this shit.
Yeah, there are a bunch of different approaches, that are popular over the years, and none of them ever really go away. But there's always there's a line that connects like the early ass feasts and street performances to like vaudeville, stand up, and a lot of like early film comedy.
I forgot about the ass feasts.
Yes, we've come such a long way. And like an example here is the mirror bit from the Marx Brothers film Duck Soup. The Marx Brothers started out as a vaudeville act.
Okay, yeah.
And the mirror bit is a stock clown bit that had been around for years.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's like one of their most iconic jokes. And it's just a stolen clown bit that had been circulating for decades. It's crazy.
Okay, what about like Buster Keaton? Was he a clown?
Yes, we're actually just getting to that part. So after the Civil War, entertainment options diversified considerably, and there was a lot more to do than just drink and work yourself to death. Given most people still did that, but you didn't have to do that all the time. Vaudeville was pretty much where all the clowns ended up when the one-ring circuses and minstrel shows shut down. Their acts would include classical music, singers, dancers, comedians, trained animals, magicians, ventriloquists, strongmen, drag, acrobats, clowns, jugglers, plays, athletes, lecturers, minstrels, and later on they would show films. And they ultimately ended up getting killed by the growth of the film industry. And that's where you end up with like Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton, who are also, as a side note here, they are in the tramp archetype of clown. They are clowns. Like the Tramp, Charlie Chaplin's thing. That is a popular clown at the time that he's doing this.
I hate that. I hate this.
A play on the Tramp archetype of clown is a character that wears like the baggy clothes and everything, and travels from place to place, but does not work. And that's compared to like a bum who
yes, there was a Dollop episode about this.
Yeah,
there was a Dollop episode about this. Tramp travels and does not work. Hobo travels and works. Bum does not travel, does not work. Oh God, there's
the other one is a vagrant, but that's not a clown
Vagrant.
type. That is actual just like hobo shit. The vagrant,
Yeah.
the vagrant was never a clown archetype.
Okay. Yeah, it's just like
But yeah, a
wait,
vagrant,
we've like
stays in
we've
one
like
place
stratified types of homeless and like unemployed and homeless.
Yes. And this was done in like
That's-
the fucking 20s.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So yeah, you also get like the Three Stooges and Marx Brothers being
Sure.
basically clown archetypes that are all adapted to the screen. Like if they're not outright clowns, they are doing clown bits. And like
Yeah,
the
like-
Marx Brothers make that very clear.
The only ones I've ever like really like gotten into are the Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello.
Yep. And Abbott and Costello, another good example of that.
Yeah.
Where like a lot of this stuff, they're lifting their stuff from clown acts.
Okay, Abbott and Costello, they have like one bit that they just do over and over and over
Yes.
again.
Well, that's how clowning was.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, like they really
One bit
did
clown.
for the biggest thing that happened when the One Ring circuses
damn
broke
it.
up was clowns had to go out and come up with their own bits.
Wait, no. Look, it's all one big clown and you're not in it.
No, clowns. Let's how much is left of clowns?
We're
at this
getting
point?
really close to the end.
Okay.
Fantastic. We're almost there. We're almost at completion.
Yes.
Clownpletion, if you will.
So from there,
Shut the
Oh,
fuck
no.
up.
Stop. So from there,
I will try. I know where you live. I will find you and kill you if you make a joke like
you
that.
don't have to find me. You know where I live.
I'll show up at your house and I'll be like, "Hi, Liv. It's been so long." Give you a hug, garrot you. This is for the clownpletion joke.
Wow.
okay. So from
For
there,
the joke.
clowns become mostly associated with like children's entertainment. The stock Auguste type clown becomes the standard clown archetype, mostly because of Bozo the Clown. Bozo was originally a character created for a children's storytelling album and illustrated read-along book set in 1946. The character started making TV appearances a few years later and became a franchise unto itself that remained popular into the 60s, but stuck around in some form until about 2001. Bozo was fucking huge. And
Yeah, my mom was really into Bozo. She talks about it sometimes.
So we have Bozo to thank for how clowns are now pretty
So, like,
awful.
Yes.
Krusty the Clown is based on Bozo.
yes, directly. Like,
or rather,
yeah.
or rather, Krusty the Clown is an.
I mean,
Was it Augustine?
No. Krusty the Clown is like a direct Bozo reference.
yeah.
Like
Oh,
the
yeah,
whole
but
like
they're
having
both-
a TV
they're both-
show, like the way that it works. But yeah.
Yeah, but they're both they're the same kind of clown. Was what I was
Yes.
getting at.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like when we think of a clown today, we are thinking of the Auguste clowns. We are thinking of bozos. This is also the era.
I mean, in more than one way.
Yes. This is also the era where you start seeing like clowns coming up with names like Binky and shit. Like this is when that starts.
Okay.
Uh,
Thinking of Bozos.
Ronald McDonald was directly based on Bozo.
Sure.
And was originally played by a Bozo actor. The popularity of the clown, of the character specifically, led to the rise of birthday clowns, which are, I think today, like kind of what most people think of when they think of a clown.
Yeah.
This, of course, brings us to the most famous birthday clown, Pogo the Clown.
Okay. I've
The
never
happy
heard
clown
of this.
persona, opposite the more serious Patch's alter ego of, does anybody know it?
Patch Adams?
That's right, one John Wayne Gacy.
Shut the fuck up!
Pogo entertained sick hospital. Well, we're going to call him, out of respect for the art, we are going to call him by his clowning name. Pogo entertained sick hospital children, took part in parades, store openings, picnics, you pretty much name it. He was a
Elissa.
pretty standard, birthday clown.
Elissa, you
that
can't
probably
do
wasn't
this.
very good. That is until, he made a very important innovation to the clowning arts by
Human
killing
cannibalism?
33 people and shoving them in the crawl space under his house, creating a new clown archetype in the process, the evil clown. Probably the most
Ooh.
popular kind of clown today. That's right. I was going somewhere with that bit.
Elissa.
So, like, what if a clown was
What
bad?
if a clown was like fucking twisted as shit?
I mean,
right?
Liv, have you ever heard of John Wayne Gacy?
Well, not before this.
He's one of the most famous serial killers.
He's like one of the prototypical American serial killers.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, like, every time I see a serial killer, I'm going to go, oh, this is a new kind of clown.
Also, his name is Pogo the Clown. Annie, Pogo the Clown.
As in a pogo stick?
Yes.
Is that where it comes from? Like, what came first, the
Yes.
clown serial killer or the stick?
I sure hope that the pogo stick was not invented by John Wayne Gacy.
God damn it. God damn it.
Look, it's Pogo's
I need a minute.
stick.
I need a minute. You've done psychic damage to me on this one. God damn
I
it.
love
It's
to
like
see
bringing
a
up
clown
Gary
hopping on a
Ridgway.
Pogo's stick.
This is like if you're like, yeah, and that's when Gary Ridgway invented the bop it.
Okay. So you
Okay.
see, previously, if people wanted a scary clown, they didn't have a lot of good options. The most recent real innovations in clowning had been, like the Tramp, which appeared a quarter century earlier and wasn't really scary at all.
I don't know.
And of course, you had the Mime.
I mean, houselessness is pretty scary.
Yeah.
And of course, you had the Mime, which appeared as an incredibly annoying revival of pantomime in the 1920s. It's only noteworthy because of Marcel Marceau, who once described pantomime as the art of expressing feelings by attitudes and not a means of expressing words through gestures. And the process breaking the only fucking rule of miming.
Wait, isn't Marceau a character from The Stranger?
No, he's the only famous mime. He was hugely famous.
Never heard of him.
Yeah, well, apparently he was going around talking, which is fucking bullshit.
Yeah, that is pretty.
Yeah, and it
stupid.
wasn't funny or scary at all. He was trying to do like a serious no laughing art, and fuck that shit. The world did not ask for a serious clown with feelings. The appearance
I mean,
of
the world also did not ask for a serial killer clown, and it's just an example of how we get what we deserve, not what we want.
I don't know. In a sense, the public was infatuated with it because the evil clown pops up, and it really kicks off with it. Although, of course, you didn't have the Joker around since the 1940s. Thing is, nobody gives a shit about comic books. That shit's for nerds. So the Joker isn't real. From there, the evil clown becomes a massive fucking hit. They dominate the 80s. You have a million movies that come out between like 87 and today.
And of course, the 80s is when we saw the rise of the most famous evil clown, Donald J. Trump.
Oh,
God damn it. Fuck you.
What kind of clown is Donnie?
He's the evil
Ooh.
clown.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but like,
He's a pogo.
so he's a pogo. Okay,
He's a pogo.
Yeah, he's a pogo.
I thought pogo was a kind of bozo.
Yeah, but
well,
like
yes.
he branched out. He's based on the bozo, but then like diverged.
Gotcha.
Yeah. It's an evolution.
Yes. So, there's this movement that kind of slowly grows over the 20th century to start treating clowning as a serious art form. This really picks up in the second half of the century with a handful of clown schools opening up in the 70s and 80s before going completely crazy in the 90s.
This is the bullshit that guy that I was talking to you about, the guy that I had to deal with, was all about. He was talking about like, oh, I spent 2 years at clown school in Paris. And I'm like, nobody gives a shit. Juggle the goddamn balls.
Yes, exactly. Toss the balls, you fucking loser. Nobody cares.
Yeah, recite Shakespeare or get the fuck out.
Make the funny dog out of the balloon, you piece of fucking shit. I hate you so much.
Do you even ride a horse?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I haven't seen
Do
you
even
fall
eat
off a
ass?
horse once.
Show me your data about how this improves outcomes for patients.
Have you ever once taken a domestic abuser and paraded him around the town, humiliating him?
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Although,
actually, I do have a second kind of clown. It's a kind of doctor, what do you call them? Like a head specialist, not a psychiatrist, but
a neurologist.
Yes, thank you.
Why are they clowns?
Well, the corny jokes and the laughter as medicine. It's weird. I don't know why that's in the specialty, and yet here we are.
Are you making a specific reference to The Pit?
Yes, of course I am.
God damn it. I should never have watched that with you.
Elissa, what kind of person is the best operator of an MRI machine?
I don't know.
Someone with a magnetic personality.
No, it's a trained specialist.
A trained technician. Oh God, yeah. Anyway, just stitch this together in any sort of way. Why are you getting out a gun?
She's gonna shoot herself live on camera.
Killing myself.
Wow. I don't know. I don't want to see my friends do that. Only strangers, please and thank you.
Wasn't a gun. I was grabbing my purse.
Yeah, this isn't live leak.
Yeah. So the evil clown pretty much killed the idea of the clown as a children's entertainment and broadly removed any commercial viability from actual clowns.
Good.
Modern clowning has mostly pivoted toward being a form of theatrical performance, and that's about where we run out of history.
Return to the tradition, honestly.
The end of history.
Yes, history is over.
Apropos,
Francis Fukuyama would be proud.
Yes. One example of the evil clown is seen in the TV hit show Killing Eve, where the antagonist is doing some clowning and then executes 2 guys.
I've never heard of Killing Eve.
Ooh, you should watch it. It's a treat.
Okay.
I will say I heavily relied on the book Clowns, a panoramic history of fools, jesters, medieval mimes, jongleurs, and minstrels, Pueblo Indian delight makers and Cheyenne contraries, harlequins and pierrots, theatrical buffoons and zanies, circus tramps, white faces, and augusts by John Towson. It's from the 70s.
Okay, dude needs to work on his...
That's such a long title.
Yeah.
Yes, it's so
He needed
long.
an editor.
I did also
You need an editor for your title?
More contemporary sources in the material.
Okay.
Well, that's amazing. But of course, it sort of does lead us to...
I do have a couple of questions real quick before we make the final decision. Are stand-up comics a type of clown?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. What tradition do they follow?
They the stand-up clown that comes out of the original like circus thing.
Okay.
But then they go into like minstrel shows, vaudeville, and then into stand-up.
Okay. So they're direct line. They're not like reinvented. It's directly out of vaudeville.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, like all of the content of stand-up comedy, it's not original.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying original. I'm just saying like you can have conversion.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I just wanted to dig in at stand-up comedians. Of course, there is also. I don't want to invite this comparison, but of course, podcasting is of course a kind of clowning.
Of course.
I think that comedy podcasting stems directly out of stand-up comedy. I mean, Joe Rogan is the obvious example.
Absolutely. And I mean, and that's of course why we're not a comedy podcast. We of course
we're an art
board
podcast.
Of censors.
This is an art podcast.
Yes, we don't do comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
This isn't funny. If you laughed a single time while listening to this podcast, please present yourself to the state for execution.
Yeah. And if you don't do it, we will know. So with all of this in mind, what do we think of clowns?
So I have some prepared remarks on clowns.
Okay.
My conclusions from my research.
I mean, you are our resident clown scholar.
Clowns fucking suck ass. All this is bullshit. Modern clowning isn't funny. The only thing that's even remotely interesting about like clowning itself, like modern clowning, is that it's fairly open-ended in form. But here's the thing: comedy is about subversion of expectations, and that means using form correctly, using it to your advantage. And just throwing it out, you are just throwing out comedy, and they have to turn it into like a performance art thing, because they have jettisoned the core of what it is. It is no longer entertainment. Good comedians subvert expectations to their advantage, and the form that something is coming in is part of those expectations. Picking something that's open-ended just because there aren't any expectations isn't freeing you up to truly explore art. It's just being fucking annoying and unfunny, and clowns are almost universally unfunny. And in fact, the only time they're ever funny is when they're not doing clown shit. It's when they're just doing a better form of comedy, like fucking anything else.
I have to agree with these like schools of clown thought. You're codifying comedy, which doesn't codify it, it ossifies it. Like, it just sucks.
Yeah.
But I do have a couple of things to say. I have gone onto my favorite website in the world, etymonline.com, the etymology dictionary. So I'm going to read a couple of entries from this. Clown, noun, 1560s. Clown, also cloyne, man of rustic or coarse manners. Boor,
I believe clown might have been coined by Shakespeare.
A word of obscure origin. The original form and pronunciation are uncertain. Perhaps it is from the Scandinavian dialect. Compare Icelandic kluni, clumsy, boorish fellow. Swedish kluns, a hard knob, a clumsy fellow. Danish klunt, log, block, klunt.
Andy, you're such a clunt.
You're such a klunt.
I can't believe you just say that.
The theory is that it is from Latin colonus. Colonist, farmer, is less likely. But awareness of the Latin word might have influenced the sense development in English. So it might be based on colonist. That's incredible.
It's amazing.
And then I'm just going to go down here to jongler. A wandering minstrel of medieval times in 1779, a revival in a technical sense of Norman French jongler, a variant of Old French jogler, minstrel, itinerant player, juggler, or clown.
Yup.
And patch comes from Italian pazzo, meaning fool. Hobbledehoy. Okay, we're done with that.
I have some more notes here on clowns. These clown tropes that these clowners are so in love with aren't just like goofy, silly little things that someone came up with to be wild and crazy. They're parodies of poor people. All this shit is punching down, and the reality of the history of clowning is that so much of it for hundreds of years has just been, aren't the poor fucking worthless? Are they just as dumb as shit? Shouldn't they just be made to suffer? It's disgraceful, and it's a boring, unfunny style of comedy, and there's a reason nobody gives a shit about clowns anymore. I think in the last 30 years, there's been an effort to intellectualize a tradition that doesn't exist and legitimize clowning as a real art form. The thing is, it's not. I've talked about a lot of things that aren't really clowning because clowning is almost impossible to define. Prior to the 20th century attempts to intellectualize it into serious art, it was broadly defined as when a guy acts dumb, but maybe he isn't dumb, but maybe he is. After that point, start seeing this process of like fetishization where people try to go back and rationalize why their specific fixation is actually cool and good and smart.
Wait. So does this board believe that a clown has to be pretending to be dumb to be a clown?
I don't know. That's something we need to decide. I think we're going to issue a number of decisions on this one.
Okay. Because this is important, because if that's true, then I'm wrong. Donald J. Trump is not a clown. He's not pretending.
Got me.
Yeah. Also, if you're afraid of clowns, sack the fuck up. Nobody is actually afraid of clowns. You either saw it as a kid and you're a pussy, or you saw some other loser whining about how spooky clowns were, and you spent the rest of your miserable life imitating them. Get a fucking hobby, take up woodworking or something. We should probably ban clowns.
I mean, I'm
Noted.
sort of
The end
with
of my
you,
notes.
although
Noted.
I'm on the opinion that the modern interpretation of clowning, of course, should be barred. But I think there's room in my heart for a sort of socialist, joyful society.
Yes,
that parades out capitalists and the petty bourgeois and mocks them, makes fun of them.
Yes, I have a suggestion. This is just a starting point. We ban the modern clown schools, okay?
Okay, with you on that, absolutely.
Like the actual institutions. We ban those.
The bozos, the pogos, things of this nature.
Yes.
Right. We ban the stock characters. Those type of those representations no longer allowed.
Yep, they're classist and racist. So
Yes.
probably just chuck those completely.
But we let clowning itself be uncensored. Okay, we're just banning those specific representations of clowns, those specific practices, and we also create a state-funded institution of a new joyous society.
Yeah, see, I like that.
I do enjoy that.
Okay, that's
And I think
that is my starting point.
I would say, and that'll have to be our verdict.
Yes.
Unless,
I think,
do you have any closing remarks?
I think tangential forms of clowning should be permitted.
Yes.
Like stand-up comedy is mostly terrible, but
There's good stuff. There's some
most
good
people
stuff in there.
should be allowed to be somewhere where they're not with the public, you know?
They usually do it in like a club that's closed and smoky, and like go do that.
Yeah.
Go
yeah.
do
as long
it
as they're doing
by
it
your-
in private, I think they just shouldn't be allowed to like post clips.
Yeah, I mean, like all other media, it should be heavily censored.
Okay.
Well, we got to be careful with censoring clowns. We've seen how that the whole reason we had to have this discussion in the first place is that clowns were censored.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying we need to be careful about this. We are banning these specific schools just because they fucking suck ass. Okay.
Yep.
And we are banning the archetypes that punch down. Okay.
Yep.
But
absolutely.
In general, clowning, you're allowed to clown however you like, except for these specific ways.
Also, blackface.
Well,
although blackface is
especially
you know what? Yeah, I overlooked that one. You're so right. Blackface. Blackface is not only banned, you will be executed on site for engaging in blackface.
Yeah, there we go.
If you put on foundation that's a little too dark, you're on thin ice.
Yeah.
And I know that I've been guilty of that one. Not on purpose. It's just like, you buy some foundation and you start putting it on and you're like, oh, this is a bad look. And then you stop and you give that one away to one of your swarthier friends.
I think one of the things that we can require here is that clowns are required to speak. That solves a lot of the problems with clowns.
Yes. Clowns are required to speak, and clowns are encouraged to work with a troupe of people that include non-clowns.
Yeah.
Because that seems to be when they're at their best.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a good set of rules.
It is. And on that note, this has been Art Should Be Illegal. Our next mainline episode here is going to be on the wonderful movie The Green Butchers.
Interesting.
And I can't
never heard
wait
of
to
it.
talk about it because I quite like it.
yeah. What is
Okay.
that?
Yeah, tell us 2% more.
Give us a little amuse-bouche.
A little amuse-bouche. Well, if you like delicatessen, you will like this. It is what if a butcher killed people and served it to the public,
I see.
This sounds
which we
pretty out
always
there.
like. Yeah, it's a concept that we have scantily seen before.
Okay.
Awesome.
But
Wow.
also wonderful. It's a wonderful comedy.
Are there any clowns in it?
No, luckily not.
Okay.
Oh, good.
There are archetypes, but no clowns.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, on that note, bye everybody.
Bye.